having auditioned for pretty much most of the reality TV shows singing wise, I want to pull back the curtain and go over some of the things that I find most of the artists that I first talk to do not understand about these auditions. So stay tuned, buckle up, and let's go behind the scenes. Okay, so I personally have received multiple private auditions for The Voice, and I've done a few of the group calls for Idol. I've also done one, go back some, for the Pussycat Dolls. There, if you stay tuned to the end, there's actually, I think it's a funny story. I don't know, maybe you won't, but I think it's a funny story about that audition itself. And just like, that was probably one of my first kind of auditions, and I got a private audition for it. And so yeah, stay tuned for that. I think it still makes me chuckle to this day. But that being said, I find over and over, because we see on TV, you know, people are right to the judges, or they see, first they pan over and it's the huge crowd and they're like, ah, right? Then you see like the next scene is someone in front of Katy Perry or Lionel Richie and stuff like that. So there tends to be, at least for me too, there was like this kind of idea that, oh, if I'm going to like say Idol, for example, I'm going to go to the big open call, the first step there, and then yeah, I'll make it or whatever it is, and I'll be in front of them. And it's so far from the truth. There was like so many steps to getting to that point. So just understand that when you go to these like open calls, or the almost like the cattle calls, where it's the first stage, you're typically in front of probably like TV producers. I mean, I think each layer that you go up, you're going to be in front of more like the executive producers and stuff like that. But at the very top is when you get to like, you know, America's Got Talent, when you're in front of Simon or those people, or, you know, The Voice when they're turning their chairs. Like, there is so many layers of auditions that get to you to that point that you have to go through first. And I think that's the biggest kind of delusional thing of reality TV, is that it's not just here to here, that there's like so many different steps in between, and each step has its purpose. So if I kind of think about the process with like The Voice, and kind of the step that I like to do is like, you can submit, you could work with an agency, you could work the studio, whatever it may be. You can submit a video and they're gonna bring you through to what's called like a private audition. So the first layer is an open call, and then you have, from that point, they're gonna invite you through, they filter through those people to like a private audition. And with The Voice, I'm not 100% sure with Idol, but with The Voice at the private audition, you're able to use a track. And that's a big difference, because with the open call, there's like no backing music, like it's you. I think you can potentially use a guitar, but I don't quote me on that. I think you may, but overall it's more of a cappella. And you really have like 30 to 60 seconds. And so do not start the beginning of a song if it's like going to take you a minute to get to like the chorus or the part of the song that kind of goes up there and it showcases more of the range. Definitely when it comes to a cappella stuff, you're like cutting and pasting. Because think about the attention span, right? They have like 30 seconds. You have 30 seconds to get those people. And so it's not like you want to just start with like, like on the high part there, but you might want to start with something low, cut off a middle part of it that makes sense, and then get right to the chorus or something like that. So that'd be a little tip on that, just to be able to draw them in. So you have like the open call, then you have the private auditions, and the next part of that would be like an interview stage after the private auditions, where they kind of go over your story. If you haven't seen any of my videos on that, you can check out some more on that, but I won't dive too deep into it. But that being said, they're really looking for this story part, like who is this person, what's a character, like think TV. You have to always think, I think with these shows, like, oh, this is a TV show, this is reality TV, but like, how are they going to introduce you? What makes sense? Are you the country person? Are you the R&B person? Are you like, you know, cross genre, whatever it may be. And they need so many like country guys, girls, whatever it may be. And so that's just food for thought on that end. So you go into that end, and then typically after that, phase of things, there's a waiting period, and if you get through to the next round, you're gonna hear from them, and then that's when you can go out to LA. They'll fly you out, and then it's another whole series of auditions where they are, you know, then again you have more executive producers of the show that are really doing things, and they're fine combing through, and they're thinking of the whole setup of the show, right? So there's numerous auditions at that phase. You typically can't communicate with many people outside just because they have to keep things locked down, and then they're gonna shift through all that there, and that's typically when you get in front of the judges, right? Then they start filming with them, because they're not going to bring in the judges in the beginning stage, because it's a process, right? There's like thousands upon thousands of people that are auditioning for this, and they're not going to sift through it, right? They're going to wait till the top. So then you get to that top end there. And so I think that's really, really important for artists to think about, is to keep in mind, like, this is going to be a process, that there is going to be more than one audition, to think about how in that first one, even all the way up, like, what are the songs that are going to showcase the best of your voice with that first one. The first one, I would say even the second one, you know, because they can cut you off. I've had multiple private auditions where I've got through the whole song, or other times I've been cut off. And so you have to make sure whatever songs you're thinking of, that you can think about, if I only had 30 seconds to a minute, like, what is going to showcase the best of my voice and really captivate them. And with song 2, I would say, just kind of like, is have multiple songs. The last thing you want to do is like have one song, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we really like your voice. Like, what else can you do? And you're like, cricket, right? I don't want that. So honestly, it doesn't hurt you to have, like, I would say anywhere at least 3 to 5. Just so that way, if they keep going through, because I've watched people go through this, right? Give us another one, give us another one, give us another one. I've even had someone tell me that they asked them, they were not like a country singer, to sing Carrie Underwood's song. I think she did. It was like so off. I was like, really? They had you do that? But that being said, that's something else to consider. And dress the part, right, guys? Like, go with, I mean, you see this with people, like, who go, like, kind of wacky with it. I mean, it gets them through. I think with Idol that works, not necessarily with The Voice. So you also, like, another key thing to keep in mind, like, research. Watch what the best auditions are, because then you can kind of go like, oh, yeah, no, that's what's successful, right? Success leads trails. So you can follow that as well. So I definitely do some researching, understand that it's a process, pick the right songs, and understand that you're going to get like 30 to 60 seconds in that beginning part there. Have your story solidified, and be you. That's really important, right? Everyone wants to see authentic, right? And even if that is like Lady Gaga, where she reinvents herself, it's really just like another echelon or layer of her. So don't be afraid about doing that, right? But definitely don't feel like you need to be the next person. I think that can happen when you're in these rooms and all of a sudden you're sitting there with all these amazing singers. I just remember sitting there and being like, holy crap, there's so many amazing singers around here, and like getting really intimidated. So I actually didn't do the right process. I got too much in my head. I didn't warm up because I was too like, well, people are going to think if I warm up. And I was like, now it's like, screw it. Warm up. Go find that spot. No one's kind of like, if it sets you up for success, do it. Do not worry about what's happening around you. Because there's a place there for all of you if it's meant to be. And it's an experience. So like, think about it that way. Good, bad, whatever. Like, you're doing that. You're there and you're conquering that fear that many people won't, which is unfortunate, but like, you're doing that. Give yourself, like, pat yourself on the back for that. But yeah, that being said, you know, definitely do what's right for you and try your best to put in place certain strategies for you. If that means like listening to music, because it can get really intimidating when you're listening to all the amazing vocalists around you. And yeah, keep it in mind that it's okay. There's like millions upon millions upon millions of amazing vocalists, and if you stay your course, you are going to find your path. Keep it in mind too with these like TV shows, like all the people that we love that were rejected, right? Who was rejected? Tori Kelly was rejected. Simon didn't like her voice. It's like, what the hell? Right? Who doesn't like Tori Kelly's voice? Comment if you don't. I do. But again, it's open for opinion. It's art. But that's something else to keep in mind there. Is like, there can be a path. Use it as like a great experience. I guess just to end my funny story for those who stuck around, or maybe you just skipped to this part. It was so funny because I remember one of my first real private auditions. I was at a studio and, you know, there was a group of, you know, it was a studio and developing artist. And so they had this opportunity and they say, hey, the Pussycat Dolls are looking for singers for people part of their act. I don't know if it was like Pussycat 2 or I don't know, did they end up like breaking up or something? I don't know. I just remember it was for that. And we had to submit videos, and then if they picked us, we had to go to New York and do a private audition. So I remember getting the call, like, you got selected, so you're gonna go to New York. And I was like, ah! So I was so excited, yet completely nervous. But I went with a group, which was awesome. I remember driving, and that was really good to have that support group, and it was a bunch of us that were going to audition. But I think the vocal part went great. I did an Alicia Keys song, who I love, and I felt really confident about that. But what I wasn't prepared for is I like to dance, but like it's not necessarily my strong suit. And so the next part of the audition, right? So we did our vocal part. They lined everyone up, you know, sing, 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 sing. Great. All right, now we're gonna have you guys dance. And I don't know why it was the funniest thing in the world to me. So try to keep your composure, but like all of a sudden the music goes on and then some guy just starts screaming, dance girls, dance! And I like lost myself. I was like, what is happening right now? I don't know, again, maybe you don't find that funny. I did in the moment, maybe because my whole reaction was like, what the hell? And so it was like, I'm gonna dance, but it was just funny. So be prepared for anything to kind of happen. I think it was just like the whole like, what am I in right now? And like a bunch of people just dancing, and there was like no choreography to it. So I think that was also like added to the like confusion state of it, and trying to even think if like there was like a heads up that we were going to be doing. I mean, you have to imagine Pussycat Dolls is about like singing and dancing, so you know there had to be an inkling there that that would be part of it, but I think I just didn't. Needless to say, I don't think I won them on that aspect, and I didn't make it to the next round, but I did have friends who did. So yeah, try to keep your cool and not lose your stuff when you're in the middle of an audition, even if you're like, oh, like I don't know, you know, I wasn't really expecting this, but it was really funny. Dance girls, dance, 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 dance girls. It was like, oh my God, I'm dancing, I'm dancing. Well, if this made you laugh, if this helped you, do me a huge favor. If you can, it really, really helps me. Drop a comment, subscribe, hit that, what is it, like hit the bell? Is there really a bell? Or that button, hit that button. And comment below if you have any questions or any funny stories about auditions that you've done. All right, guys, till next time.